that's where a lot of people fail. Is it's more like kind of like, do this for me, run my open house for me. I don't have time.
Yeah.
Can you go show these clients for me? I don't have time. Versus like, hey, let's partner on this. Here's who these clients are. Here's what they are. Now, you see how I'm doing this. You see how I'm doing that. And you kind of teach them about that deal and what you did and how, and now they're showing from you and learning. Then they're getting better, and you want them to be better, because if they're going to be helping your people, they better be on their shit.
What's up, guys? This is episode 12, Seed Time and Harvest Podcast. And we're just here to help you guys focus on the process of life and the day-to-day as opposed to the outcome. Because so much of us and so much of our culture is designed around, I just got to achieve. But the way you get to a new level is by focusing on the process. So, we wanted to talk today, kind of like a follow-up on our last episode of Busyness is Business, and talking about a solution to that. And it's like me kind of taking my own medicine. This is actually a scary place to be, but it's, if you find yourself repeating yourself, record yourself or replace yourself. Mm-hmm. And I got this from a marketing course I took at one point, and it was basically in the realm of like, digital products and stuff like that. It's like the things you say constantly. You film a video. It's like my listing presentation. I did that because it's the same thing all the time,
Mm-hmm.
So then you can send that to someone, and that's the way you buy some of this time back, right? This is how you do it better. Or you hire someone to do that. And honestly, bro, that's freaking scary for me. I don't feel like I'm at a place where it's like, oh, I got 500 grand sitting in my bank account so I can pay someone 60 grand a year or whatever it is. So we talked about faith. You want more faith, well, then you get put in a position where you need more faith. And what's faith? It's like expecting the good to happen. It's not some like religious thing. It's like worry is expecting the bad to happen, aka manifesting, right? And so that was, preaching to myself here, taking my own advice of like, okay, how do I gain more time back? How do I not be a short fuse? How do I not feel busy with my family? It might be delegating or hiring someone to do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I haven't cut my grass in like 3 weeks. I just need to hire someone to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Right
away.
Like little stuff, like those repetitive things you do every single day. And we were just talking offline about like, specifically to real estate. What are the things you can do in that business to get time back? Because time is the most valuable resource we have. So that's where my head is at, man. It's like, okay, the things I'm consistently doing, well, now it's like about partnering or hiring someone who's really good at what they do, mm-hmm. which is also scary because it's like, well, they could be better than you, but you never want to be the smartest guy in the room.
No, you want them to be.
Yeah. And you got to go back to like knowing who you are
mm-hmm.
and what you bring to the table. And then you're able to actually hire someone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is scary, right? Like, I mean, being an entrepreneur and building, businesses and delegating tasks, and then you actually get to a, adult level of entrepreneurship where you need to start hiring people. Usually it's like having a baby, right? You're not ready. Like, you'll never be ready in business, at least in my experience. So if somebody else out there had, millions of dollars worth of investment or huge savings account, and they're like, I could pay you 6 figures a year now just for at least 5 years until we get this going. Like, usually I would say in my experience, it's been 100% of the time, but I bet you it's a very high percentile where people are not ready to hire someone. Like, whether it be an assistant or driver or transaction coordinator or whatever it is, marketing company or something. And so I think when you're in that place, it's usually like your biggest need that's going to drive the most results in order to secure that person's job. It's like, okay, if like, so for a real estate agent, for me, it was, I needed a true assistant. I needed someone to potentially schedule out all my showings the next day. I needed someone to be able to review my offers or even send them. I needed somebody to order the lock or order the sign install, make sure the lockbox was on, like all these little things that compounded to like a lot of time and drive time and effort. No one could really be who I was in the living room.
Sure.
Right. So I always wanted to make sure that I was like front and center face to face with the client when the real conversations needed to happen. Even showings, it took me a while to start to do like what we were talking about, like having like a showing specialist or partner to kind of do that. But you'd start to think of like, okay, where am I losing the most time? And these are typically the tasks that you just hate.
Yeah.
It's the little, like, you definitely don't hate like being on that first showing and securing your client, helping his family.
I love the people side of it. I hate the contract side of it.
So that's where like you start to think like, okay, well, clearly maybe the TC side here aren't getting it done. And they're not giving me the level of service that I need in order to feel like I can run faster because I'm still having to manage the file or I'm still having to do this. So for me, and you're in the same boat as was like, you kind of need a hybrid of a person that can write an offer, that can manage dates and deadlines, that can get the contract to close, that like in like the administrative nuance of real estate, which is just, if you don't have a transaction coordinator and you're trying to do volume, like you need to hang up, press pause on this podcast immediately and just go get someone, right? And you've secured that, but I don't think you're as happy with it, right? And so it's like, you just have to, for you or for anyone else out there, and we've talked about this, but like, what's your biggest need? And it's not someone to go on the first showing. You're 10 out of 10 on that. It's not someone to go on the second, third, or fourth showing. It's like maybe after you've built that relationship enough to where you're like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to so-and-so for next weekend and the weekend after. Yeah. Because sometimes all you need to do is buy yourself a few weekends of showings with someone. Then you go circle back and get them on that third weekend if they're still out shopping. But they don't feel like you've abandoned them if you just give them like a dip in service but you're handing them a pro. You're just giving yourself like a whew, and now I can spend time on these next 2 weekends. I know I'm not showing the Johnson family 14 homes. Will is going to do that. And you set the expectations and you set it up and it's just those 2 weekends. And you just tell them, hey, I'll be completely out of pocket. My life is so crazy, but just wanted to be proactive, let you know that next weekend and the weekend after, I'm completely out of pocket, but this is what we're going to do when you guys want to see homes. Yeah. And you do that with like, you have 6 to 8 buyers and all these people. You do it with everyone. So you buy yourself 2 weeks, then you do it, and you don't do it all the time, but you're giving yourself these like weeks back, like half a month that you've just bought back from showings. And then you can come in here and be like, and then all you're doing is managing, making sure those are good, and then calling your clients after the showings are over. Like, hey, I know that it was done. Will just texted me, said you guys are done. Like, walk me through the day, how to go. Then they feel, you're giving this like executive level like recap. Like, let me take some notes. Do you need me to call anyone? Need me to talk to anyone? Anybody that you need me to reach out to? Any listing agents? What houses were your favorite? Whatever. And now we didn't find anything today. Okay, well, just remember, I'll be in touch with you this week, but next weekend I'm out of pocket again. But then I'm back full force. That's all you needed to do is make sure that he knew what was going on and they knew what was going on and that you didn't abandon them with that phone call. Yeah. Then you just bought yourself 2 weeks. Right, that's where the showing specialist came in, and it's way more of a strategy than it is like I'm just dishing the client, because that's I guarantee that's what you're thinking is like I'm going to hand it off to someone in here and they're going to lose it. So you need to secure it, but then handing it to someone in here that you trust enough to open doors and represent you. Yeah, it's like handing it to the lender. Like, look, dude, just cross-sell me. Sure. Reaffirm everything that they think about me. You don't need to sell them anything. Usually the agent that's there loves it because there's no pressure for them. It's clients in the bag. They're already working with a great agent. Yeah. They're just there to like talk you up. Yeah. So I think that's exactly how I did it then. And that's kind of where the showing specialist evolved. But it wasn't to dish them. Yeah. It was like, I need to buy and it was usually like vacation time. It was like, I need 2 weeks.
Well, it's like at the end of the day, you're actually being selfish if you're burned out because you haven't taken time, So it's actually like the thing that like kind of flipped in my mind as you were talking on that is like, wow, if I'm doing everything, I'm actually being selfish, because if I'm burned out, then I'm not able to serve that person at the highest level, So it's like doing the same thing, but doing it better. I was just talking to my father-in-law, and
Great guy, by the way.
oh yeah, one
Yeah.
of the best humans I know. And I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I want to learn about some crypto stuff because I don't know anything about it. I was like, I only like to invest in stuff I really understand. And he just told me that he's like, I don't understand this at all.
Oh, really?
But his guy
does?
he uses, he manages all his funds and he gets like 10% of everything he brings in. And it's
The
like,
guy
so,
who manages it?
yeah. So I'm like, well, he's motivated because he's part of the gain as well. And it's like when we all win, that's the best scenario. It's like no one does a real estate deal if they're getting screwed on it.
No.
You have to make both sides win. Sometimes it's both sides give up equal parts. And it's like the art of like, how do you navigate that makes you good, right?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about that. I was like, that's the best scenario. It's like, hey, you're going to be part of this gain. So I think giving up a good percentage of it, to me, like 10% doesn't make any sense for that showing
That's
special.
that's not juice might
to
not
me,
be
like,
worth the squeeze
it
there.
wouldn't get me going if I was a young agent, but like, hey, 25%, it's like, well, I got to give up some more of that, but it's actually, I'm giving up to gain. So that's going back to when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Like if I say yes to a showing special, giving something up to that, I'm saying no to some commissions, but I'm also saying yes to being able to bring in more, to being able to be free to meet new people and create more relationships and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, huh.
Because you see exactly what you're saying,
Yeah.
right? So like if you see like even just like the little formula I gave you with the 2 weeks, right? So what would happen is those 2 weeks that I delegated, and I'm not talking about one showing, I'm talking about every client I had that wanted
Yeah.
to go see something that bought me 2 weeks back of my life, whether it be personal or professional time.
Yeah.
So whatever you use the time for it's going to be great no matter what. If you're using it to build
sure.
your business, it's going to be great. If you're using it to just sit at home with your family, you'll be just as fulfilled, if not more, right?
Yeah.
Or you're going out of town or whatever. But what it initially was it started off with a vacation, which I never took. And I finally started like taking vacations about, 3.5 years into real estate. I was like, I need to take a vacation.
Yeah.
And so we took like 2 or 3 weeks and I had to do it. I had to do that to keep everything going. But then when I got back, I was like, and I still had all these clients. I even went under contract a few times, but I was still working, but it was a different level of work. And it was very fulfilling because it was like, wow, I was on vacation. I had a great person helping me. I still was in the negotiations and made sure this all happened. Now they're helping with the file because I gave them, 30% of it or whatever it was, 25% of it. So they're still keeping things, making sure inspections are good, making sure they're still working, doing all the little stuff. Then when I came back, I'm like, okay, that was great. Then fast forward, I got so overwhelmed with so many buyers, I couldn't really do anything. And so what I did was I said, okay, 2 weeks, you have to go and do this again for all of this so I can help these people. So I can keep 10 buyers in the mix right now. I'm going to help these 5 for 2 weeks. You help these 5 for 2 weeks. Well, I did that for a few months. And that's how I was having like 6, 7, 8, 9 closings a month.
For sure.
Like boom, 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 boom. It was like, oh, wow, like this is great. And I was able to skip because I would have fumbled the bag a few times in there and lost way more than I gained when it came to me. I'm going to do this. And I would have been totally burned out from it. Right. But I was able to do this for a few like months.
Yeah.
And then it started to get where like I would do the 2-week deal and I would just claim a bunch of leads for those 2 weeks and go out and build. So I would have 6 or 7 buyers that I would delegate off for 2 weeks. And then I would just gobble up like listing referrals, everything else in those other 2 weeks and really work hard. And I would take 4 or 5 days off. You know what I mean? And I would just chill for 3, 4, 5. I mean, at the house, like with the kids, hanging out for 3 or 4 days of like just no work, and then come back and you have this pool of business, and then you do it again and again and again. Then you're alternating 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off through it, and that's how you manage like 7 to 10 buyers. Because you and they're never not working with you. That's kind of the pump fake, is like you're getting help, and you look like you have more credibility because you've sourced it. And like, man, Nate's a badass, or Alex is a badass. He has assistants and everything else. But you do need. We could talk more through this, but I think there's some brokers that are probably listening that are like, oh,
I hope
shit.
so, man.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a lot of people reach out to me recently, and this is not like and I'll dive into something after this, but like I've had a lot of people say, "I know you're busy."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
your clients?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like,
That's
dang. Are you telling? Like, am I unconsciously telling you that I'm busy when I'm telling you, "Hey, I'm here for you"? I'm like, whatever is in my like nonverbal communication is saying I'm busy. But the thing that just hit me was like, I have this limiting belief where I don't want to be perceived as I'm quote unquote like better than you. And I think that's what's inhibiting me from like trying to delegate. You know, I see a lot of people where, you know, I was there a couple years ago, but like the fruit in your life is showing that. So like, why be scared of that? If that makes sense. Maybe that doesn't make sense, but
it does.
That's what I'm processing of like, it's almost like lowering my bar to not make other people feel bad. Like, and as I'm talking through that, I realized that was one of my things with football.
You don't want them to feel inferior to you.
Correct.
Or, okay.
Like if I had made it to the NFL, I would have been better than But like, so I was okay being a arena football player, making $200 a week, being a pro football player. But like I was, and it's like one of my limiting belief, the biggest one is like being scared of like the light that's inside of me, being like truly shining that of like, this is who I am. This is who God created me to be. And I'm okay with that.
I think and I resonate with that. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I dealt with that myself. And I think the only way, and you're not a dick, so it would never come across that way. Cause there's definitely some people that may be delegating things and their delivery, it isn't what they're saying, it's how they're saying it, right? And
I'm better than you, so therefore you need to
their body language, how they're approaching someone, and they're like, and there is an arrogant aura to them, or you know, I've known many of people with that I've worked with, partnered with, and I'm like, damn, dude, you just eat a little bit of humble pie before you go ask them to help you for 2 weeks, you know, like they're
make my calls for me.
They're gonna help, but the thing that most people miss with this is, and you and I talked about this with Will, right? I love Will. So shout out to Will Bradford, right?
Sure.
Like young kid. I wish I would have gotten into this business at his age.
Heck yeah, dude.
I wouldn't even.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so, but what someone like Will or a few other young players on our team are missing is someone like you being like, hey, come here. I'm going to teach you some. So it's not just them working from you. They're working for you. They're learning from you. So not just working for you to scale your business so you can go sit up in an ivory tower and ball out. You're also bringing them up and teaching them along the way. And I think that's where a lot of it, you know, that's where a lot of people fail. Is it's more like kind of like, do this for me.
I want to buy a G-Wagon.
Set up my open house for me.
Yeah.
Run my open house for me. I don't have time.
Yeah.
Can you go show these clients for me? I don't have time. Versus like, hey, let's partner on this. Here's who these clients are. Here's what they are. Now, you see how I'm doing this. You see how I'm doing that. And you kind of teach them about that deal and what you did and how. And now they're showing from you and learning. Then they're getting better. And you want them to be better because if they're going to be helping your people, they better be on their shit.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of like, then they just kind of come up naturally. Like Jacob Dittman, shout out to Jacob. He was someone who sat in the truck with Gunner, you know, his first like 6 months of his career. Like he just was like in the truck with Gunner. Right. But he was doing a ton of work for Gunner, but Gunner was teaching him the whole time.
Totally.
So I think that's something that we need to really, and maybe that's something we figure out in next week's meeting of like something that where it feels really good. The delivery feels good. It feels genuine. Like where we're partnering on this, not that you don't work for me, we're partnering.
Yeah.
I'm more experienced than you. Yes. I have more tenureship. I have way more transactional experience than you. It isn't about the money though. They already know you make more money.
Sure.
Because you're doing more business, right? Yeah. Like, so it's like, that's where you, I think, can be very powerful in that sense of, you know, and I see you in that light constantly of like, you know, that's why there's certain conversations I'm like, no, hold off on that because there's something else to this that I think is going to require much more, you know, much more, strategy and work, and the vision needs to be bigger to excite you.
Yeah.
Man,
it's just like, I say this like very humbly, like my prayer over the past couple of years was like, God, let me see me the way you see me. And I think that's been part of my challenge is like, I've always looked down on myself. Like I'm not
like insecure.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and that's come to the like achieving side of things of like, I have to achieve in order to be as good as Alex, or have to make as much money as him, or be as fast, or jump as high, or whatever that like blank you're filling in the boxes with. And one thing I've struggled with is like a lot of the younger agents that come into this, like take Dave DiPietro, shout out to Dave. Like, I joined the team B1. I went straight to him, was like, hey, what are you doing? Who did your website? Who did this? Who does your ad? Da, 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 da. I don't see a lot of people doing that. And I don't know if it's like a pride thing. I don't know if it's like a millennial Gen X thing of like, oh, I want to be perceived as blah, blah, blah. And I guess with age comes wisdom, right? Or it should come. I just have failed so much. Like, I don't care who I get the information from. I think that's why I called you so much. Hey, how do you say this? How do you say that? Da, 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 da. It's like, well, you've got the results. Success leaves clues. So like, just teach me. I don't know, man. I think that's a can of worms.
No, it isn't. It's so difficult because this is, I think, right now is our team's biggest issue.
Yeah,
I've never been surrounded by so much like God-given talent.
Yeah,
from humans. Like you sit in our team meeting, every single person in there that we've sat with, whether it's their past career or their current ambitions and goals. This is a special. I've never been in a room like this.
Yeah.
Where there's people that can literally go play a show at Red Rocks, like Cole Rudy.
Yeah.
And then there's someone that, owns massive piece of land up in Pine that has a winery that they're building. like there are so many people with like just high level minds and they're great souls. But what we're missing more than anything else is people in the field like you or Jacob or me or Gunnar or someone, and these younger agents that go through certification, go through all the scripting, go through all the role playing. They've been told how to do it off these screens and in these classes, but when they get there, no one is showing them how to do it.
And that's an art, bro.
It is. But if they see you do it, like if someone was in a living room and then they saw you do it, no matter who they were, no matter what pride or ego they had walking into this or whatever, they are going to self-assess and go, yeah, that was legit. Yeah. And they're going to grab your skill from you. They're going to take that gift and that light and they're going to put some of it in their pocket. Some might fall out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like some will probably fall out on the ground, but they'll get a piece of it in there. They're going to steal it in the house. And that's what we want.
Totally.
Take as much as you can. I'm going to give it to you. But we don't have, that's the one thing that we haven't been able to figure out in here because it's very difficult to have a top performing realtor like you or Liz or Jacob, come in and go, hey, I want you to teach these younger folks how to do it. And you're like, and I know what it feels like. And I've been there where you're just like, I don't have time. Like I love people. I want to help people.
Yeah.
But dude, I'm helping all these clients. And so we have to figure out how we can get this square peg into this round hole because and it be worth it for you because you can't take time away from your family just to bring up a young agent in here. Like I know that, so I've never asked you to do it. I know that, like,
and I wouldn't. No, you couldn't. I don't have the time for it.
It's not that you wouldn't. You would.
Yeah,
but you're
can't. Right. Yeah. I just.
You know what I'm saying? You're
100%,
like, I would if I could. I can't.
Yeah.
Is that what is this going to do for my children?
Yeah. I started coaching 14 years ago now. You know what I mean? Like,
did you ever coach a sport?
Yeah, I was a high school football coach, basketball coach, all that stuff.
What age groups did you teach? So high school,
JV, high school.
Damn. How was
also
that?
It was awesome.
That alone gives you some life skills.
Yeah, but and then coaching clients, becoming a life coach, all that stuff. Like I've had, 10,000 hours in people. Yeah. And so how do you teach that in a script? You can't. There's an art form to it. Like Pete followed me. Shout out to Pete as well. And he was like, well, what script are you following? I'm like, bro, I'm not on a script because she told me she is scared of the gangs in Aurora literally kidnapping her daughter. That's why she's looking at a home right now. So it has nothing to do with the price point and do you understand the market? You know what I mean? Like, I want my daughter to be safe. So like I had to just, hey, tell me about that. Like, so what I'm hearing you say is like, you have a husband that doesn't want to move, but you want to move. So this is a deep-seated fear in you. So I would connect with you, but by listening.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you teach that?
You can't,
so
dude.
that's a hard conversation to have.
I think we have it all the time.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about this, right? Like, how do you teach somebody how to run fast? Like, come on. How do you teach someone how to be funny?
Yeah.
How do you teach someone how to be tall?
Yeah.
You can't, there's certain things that are just God given.
Mm-hmm.
God gave you some of the, like, and now if you don't have it, then you have to be taught how to do it and shown how to do it. And you have to practice it and you have to mildly obsess over it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that you hit on something a little bit ago about generational and societal Gen X. And I do think that right now as a whole, not just in real estate, most sales environments for sure, but companies in general, all across the US and probably, across the globe are dealing with a societal shift in people's work ethic, their dreams, their ambition, really understanding that it's a journey.
Yeah.
If anyone comes in here and interviews with us now, I say, time out. Just so you know, 3 years from now, we'll be having a really cool conversation.
Mm-hmm.
3 months from now, I'll be high-fiving you and say, good job.
Yeah.
You're not going to be there in 3 months. It's going to take you 3 years. You're approaching 3 years.
Almost 3, exactly.
And it's like, and now you're like, where do I go from here? But those 3 years that you took, you fucking literally, not mildly, you obsessed over this game. Dude, the percentage of people that obsess over anything, especially a career, it has gone down, I bet you significantly since COVID, since Snapchat, since all the things and this lifestyle. The entrepreneurs work less for more money and your value and my mental health days and all the shit that's just like, you know what I'm saying? And instead of just being like, all right, I got a 3-year prison sentence and Alex and Nate told me that, dude, do not look up for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I get my vacation. Yeah, right, dude. 99% of the kids that are getting into anything, literally doesn't register in their computer. They're like, no, not for me. Or they lie to you in the interview and say, I'm all in. And 3 weeks in, 6 weeks in, they're like tapping out. They're not in the office. They're not doing it. And it's like, so we're also up against a society that just doesn't have this like undeniable like strength to just like continue to pursue what they believe in. And when they get under deep waters and you're like, oh, you can hold your breath for another 30 seconds. And their mind goes, no, you can't. And you're like, no, I'm telling you medically, you can hold your breath. Like you can, you just feel really uncomfortable. And they go, and they come to the top. And I'm like, dude, why'd you come up? You lost. You got to go. Gotta go. And they're like, I was going to die. Like, no, I told you weren't going to die.
It's like you don't see
there's no trust in the process. Dude.
Any microwave recipes for brisket.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why it's so fucking good.
Yeah. But like it's true, dude. Like how many of us it's kind of like I heard someone say, if God showed you the path, you would never take the journey. It's like God gives you the vision of like, hey, this is where I'm gonna go. And then you gotta start walking.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important to hold on to that vision. For the past 2 years during the struggle of like couldn't pay my bills, all this stuff, in debt, what I would do is just simply like flip to the vision of like seeing my family in this beautiful house. It's like Castle Pines, just seeing like a pool in the driveway. And it's just a feeling. Yeah. And that was my gym when I would get that worry and that fear of will this work? Is this really going? Is this the right path? It's like, no, I've been shown this vision. I'm just going to keep going. And so like, I think that's the obsessed piece, And what hit me when you were talking was we just got to show people the results and just say, come on, let's go. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be some that fall off that journey, and that's okay. That's just the path. It's like the parable of the sower, right? Some seed fell with the rocks. Some seed fell where the birds ate it. Some seed fell amongst the thorns and the weeds. But then 25%, and it's just kind of the 80-20 rule. It's really like 20% of people drive 80%
That's
of the
how it
business.
always
It's
is.
just really, it's like you can't get away from that.
No.
So there's going to be a quarter of people that are the good seed, but you can't get angry at the 75.
No, you can't.
But just
Nope.
keep saying, come on, let's
Yeah.
go. Come on. And just keep showing up. And that's where consistency comes in, you know?
And you know, and I know because we're in the baby and dad mode.
Yeah.
But I always feel like you know, like our kids wouldn't eat really if you weren't feeding them. Like they would just go hungry. They would die.
Yeah.
Right. And especially at that 6 month to 2 years old, like they're just kind of like they're waiting for the food. And even like with the baby, you have to like physically feed. They have to see it, and you're like, and you're eating, and you have to keep giving them the nourishment, and you have to do it. But they won't know unless you're doing that. And I feel like we're sort of in this pocket of like we do have to baby that generation, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, I think that's any industry. You do need to spoon feed to show them how to eat. They need to see that you and I went and got the fruit off the tree. We blended it up. We did, and they're like, okay, so you grab it from there, and you. That's I truly believe it's like that painfully simple, but also how easy it is it for you and I to sit here and talk about it. How hard is it to go out there and to grab one of these young agents and say, okay, hop in, I'm going to show you how to do this. And then where are we going from here? Like what happens to you? What happens to me from this? Like I want to help you, but neither you or I are in a point in our life where we can just take time out to just be buddies with someone. Like we have to know that there's growth, there's objective, there's financial incentives for someone like you to do it because you're in top producing mode. You know, like for Gunnar and I think it would be easier right now because we're out of production. It's like, but we have so many little things in here that we're managing. It's like, man, how do we get out of the office to go do this? So I do think that that's something that needs to click in with us of like, how do we develop I'm going to tell you how to do it and I'm going to show you how to do it.
I think it's like,
you know,
going back to like a mentor, or apprenticeship, you know, before colleges came about, it was all apprenticeship. Like if you wanted to become a carpenter, you would go apprentice under a master carpenter for what was it, like 3 or 5 years or something like that. And you'd learn by watching. And I think we're taught in our society, you just go to school and you read a book and you test on it, then you'll be great. And it's like, what is it, 87% of people? That's why I could never get involved with college. I don't get it. Like, you're going to tell me to go to school for 4 years and I'm probably not even going to work in this field. So I'll just go work in the field that I'm supposed to work in. You know? And so I think real estate is that. Like, you take the test, obviously, but that doesn't teach you anything about how to do this.
No.
So, like, an apprentice, to me, like, that's the answer to it. Of, like, study under somebody, humble yourself, learn. Yeah, but you got to feed yourself, obviously, as well. But that's, to me, the answer. It's kind of like, I remember moving here to Colorado, and my buddy took me on a hike up a 14er, first one I ever did, and I hated it at first. I was like, this takes forever. I want to go fast, right? Kind of my journey. But like, you can't. You get up to 13,000 feet, you don't have much oxygen up there. But like, to me, that's kind of like life. It's like, I see where I'm going. I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there, but I know the reward's going to be great when I do get there. And I just got to keep stepping, keep going. So I need to go on a hike.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
We should book one, actually. I think it's great. And like, everyone goes at their own pace. Like, there's no competing, but we're all going to get here together.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Well, cool, man. Episode 12.
In the books.
Peace.
Later.